peace, and greetings. So today I'm going to talk about my initiation. I talked about seminary, and I'm going to talk about my initiation um, into being an Okomfo or an Akan priest, a traditional priest. So what I'm not going to talk about are the particular rituals and rites that we did, because as I said in the other video, I was looking for what was sacred and secret. Secret. I was looking for those things that belong to us that would cause um, that were precious and protected and required true immersion and work um, to. Is this sucker on today? Oh, it is. Um, to participate and to truly appreciate. To truly appreciate. Felt like Max Headroom for a minute. So what I did want to say though today, I was talking to two people, to a brother friend of mine and a cousin, and um, I posted something the other day about a sister from a Native American community, and for her people, there was a particular traditional dress that she wore that made sounds, and sounds that were healing, sounds that were liberating. And it was beautiful to see, beautiful to hear, just a treat for all the senses. And my cousin said, "Have I ever told?" She's talking to me and saying, "Have I ever told you about my um, her Native American phase?" So if you are a Black woman of a certain age in the United States, there's always spaces where the general population and capitalism will try and co-opt someone else's tradition. So, for years, television shows have been fascinated with Native Americans, and not always real Native Americans. In fact, hardly ever. Mostly white men dressed up in whatever caricature of Native Americans that they could find. And then for a while, it was Indians, East Indians. And so that showed up in popular music and all those things. So when she said that to me, I was thinking, oh, okay, you mean like around the time of Janet Jackson, That's the Way Love Goes, because the aesthetic was very, very bohemian and natural, and the colors were natural, all those. But she blew my mind when she said, no, in her elementary school days, she had a chance to actually go attend a powwow. She had a chance to actually be present in Native culture that was unique and honest and true and beautiful, and how it inspired her. And it touched her so much that it made her feel like, this is where I should be. This is what I ought to be. And so, there's a few reasons that that happens for us. For many of us who are here, we have Native blood running through our veins. And so I'm sure it calls out. Also, there's a part of us that does want that secret and sacred. And so when we experience it, it's like, whoo, I got to be closer to that, because we're built for it. And then I was talking to a brother who was talking about his daughter, and how when we think about the communities that are being created throughout the diaspora, especially among African Americans who are finding other places to live and be safe and be well and be whole, is that his daughter was saying, well, wherever I go, I still got to have this African American experience. I still have to have a taste of this. I still have to have the feeling of this, the sound of this, the inside jokes, the the hums, the smells, the just all the things, all the senses that are thrilled. And so even in that, as I think about initiation, and I know that there were 3 years that I spent in this particular process, but as I shared with you, there are things that led me to that, and there will be learning until I transition and am blessed to become an ancestor. So, in those 3 years, the things that um, I appreciate everything. I appreciate everything. So I can't even separate and say, well, there was this, there was this. I appreciate everything. I appreciate the fact that there are certain implements, smells, touches that immediately put me into a sacred space. And so then the sacred space is everywhere. You know, it means that it's the blessing of establishing sacred spaces, even in spaces that may not be communal rituals, which is necessary. It makes my home a shrine. It means that I honor this shrine and make it possible for the people in my home, especially our children, to honor their shrines as well. There is an amount of humility that comes out of undertaking a training like that. There is a connection to the earth, and not just in go touch grass and be grounded, but a connection to the earth in the sort of recognition that lets you know that you are part of it, that you are part of this earth, that the things that you are doing on with different elements of earth, that's you, that's me. There is a there's as much as possible, there is a secreting away. So I hear steal away home, um, a protection, an investment. A Bell Hooks defines love as and if I don't get it right, someone write it in the comments, but defines love, and I'm paraphrasing, as the investment in another person's spiritual growth. So not the selfish grasping at make me feel good or make me look good or um, what can I get, but the investment in someone else's spiritual growth to see someone develop and expand. And so there was that in initiation. I appreciate knowing that even with that process, that I'll never be done. I appreciate knowing that I will perpetually be in a state of learning and evolving again until I leave this planet. And in my understanding, the leaving of this planet does not mean leaving life. It does not mean leaving in awareness. It does not mean leaving in existence. So I will still get to evolve and expand. I am appreciative that even the process of initiation for me, the encouragement was to make sure that we were really giving time and attention and focus to that process, which is hard when we live in a world with consistent distraction, when the regular things of your life have to be taken care of. When I was in yoga teacher training, one of my yoga teachers who has a spouse and a child said that they left the house to go continue some forms of the training that they were doing in relation to yoga, and still came home. And what a gift that is, to go away and bring that back to the family, and for the family to lend that person to their calling, so that they can go fulfill themselves. And so, as coming into this initiation process, into that initiation process, there is an encouragement, and rightfully so, to give attention to this process. That for all of the other things that may be spiritual tools and um, part of my spiritual smorgasbord, to set some of those to the side and give full attention to this. The process of initiation for an African American, for me as an African American woman, is the awareness that when we are raised in a tradition, no one has to explicitly train you. You're just being trained all the time. So when I was coming up in church, I know the order of things. I know when to stand. I know when to sit. I know when we're passing the peace or passing the peas, like Baba James Brown said. Um, I know when it's time. I know how it is to pass the sacrament. I know to pass the offering. I know my call and response. I know where my harmonies aren't to fall in with the choir. I know my responses to the preacher in the sermon. I know my responses in just the congregation when the people are talking or giving their testimonies or whatever. You just know because you've been a part of it, because you were raised in it, because you're in it. So for us, returning to a tradition that we were not raised in and having to let that initiation pull like a magnet, pull all the parts um, that are both ancestral and communal here, that initiation pulls it like metal all to the top. And it needs time and it needs focus because I didn't get I was blessed to grow up where I grew up, and I did not have the opportunity to just walk around and hear um, Akan shrine songs, to hear chi in that way, to um, to know the body movements for different things or the the greetings for different things. And so because that is not because it isn't because unlike my church black church experience where it just was because I was there, this needed my attention to really be able to expand into in it and to flourish into it. And giving that attention also makes space for more learning. If I stand off to the side and I don't throw myself in, there's no way for anyone to connect to anything I'm giving. I have to give. I have to be able to give to receive. It has to be reciprocal. Um, so I also appreciate the connection to other brothers and sisters who are Akan, who are Yoruba, who are um, just many different traditions, and how being able to, someone said to me this morning, if you know, you know. So being able to connect to where I am in a way that allows me to reach out and hold someone else's hand and say, oh, I understand, or I understand from where I am. The advice that we were given from one of our nanas was it's very tempting to be all things to all people and to sample everything. And even though I'm not against trying things and finding the connections, um, there's only so much focus I can have, and there's only so much time in this body that I have. So one of our nanas gave the advice that all of our traditions, especially as Africans throughout the diaspora, are compatible, and it is the calling of each one of us to drill down into the one that we have committed ourselves to and become immersed and become appreciative and knowledgeable and reverent of it so that when I see my sister or my brother who is given their same attention and commitment and consistency to another tradition, that we are able to connect. So um, I spoke to the humility of initiation and this practice, and it's the humility actually lends to uh, a certainty of worth because it's not competition, because I don't have to measure myself against anyone else. Uh, it is it is trusting that my ancestors and creator have lined me up in the places where I need to be, that those who have committed themselves to helping me through that process and being a resource even after the initial process are committed in the desire to see me succeed in the best ways that they know how. So I'm hoping that this made sense because because there are things in anything. Ta-Nehisi Coates spoke about, let me finish the initial thought and then I'll come back to it. There are truths and um, practices that you hold close to to your chest that are sacred, and so they shouldn't be spoken about everywhere. And they should, if they're spoken about, they should not be spoken about here on YouTube, but in closed rooms with other people who understand and who are seeking to truly appreciate. And I think about Ta-Nehisi Coates, who talked about um, the N word being used outside of our community. And it was beautiful. It's not even that I necessarily agree or disagree. I just appreciated what he said. And he was saying, there are names in your family that only your family calls you. There are names in my family that I've been called by family. There are names that I call my children that no one else would call them or know to call them. And so it is a shorthand for us. It is a beautiful connective tissue, and it is that way because it's something that is held between us. It is something that shows love and connection. So in that same way, I would not speak about practices that, in full honesty, I will be learning about until I leave. So I leave the planet and beyond and beyond. But I did want to look at the just some of the similarities, some of the places that and the going, the stepping out of anything else to give initiation my full attention also made space for me to return to some of those things with new eyes, with new ways of connecting. I spoke about how there are some shrine songs that I can sing, and right after that, I'll hear a freedom song, or I'll hear a hymn, or I'll hear whatever it is. And so, being able to be in uh, communion with my brothers or sisters in Akan ritual, and then come into communion with brothers and sisters in church. There's a lot of through lines, and in order to be able to see and appreciate that in another way, I had to be able to step away and be fully committed and step away from everything to be fully committed to initiation and then um, come out new on the other side, still available to many of the things that I learned, seeing how who I was before connects to who I am becoming. So in any case, this is Reverend Okomfo, Wallen Yogi, Sister Mama Adia saying, I'll see you tomorrow. Have a wonderful day. Peace.